down, left swinging in the air.
Many times before.
As it has happened so many times before.
Thank you for explaining that, you idiots. It was a word that ripped a hole in the universe.
Laurel. 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 Laurel.
So, was it Yanny or Laurel? We asked the experts.
We're going to do the Laurel and Yanny debate with these cute 3-year-old twins. What's your name?
Boston.
Okay. All right, so we're going to press play and see who hears what.
Laurel.
Wordle. Yanny. Yanny. Wordle. Yanny.
Laurel.
No, it's wrong.
It's going to lead to war. This got to be such a big deal. Even the White House got involved.
It's Laurel. But I could deflect and divert to Yanny.
Sarah, it's been reported that you hear Laurel. How do you respond?
Clearly you're getting your information from CNN because that's fake news. All I hear is Yanny.
I hear Kofefi.
So, here's the thing. That video about Laurel and Yanny now becomes a Laurel and Yanny in itself, meaning if you like Trump, you'll actually laugh. But if you're a host at CNN, you'll say, how can you laugh when children don't have socks in Kyrgyzstan? So this silly audio puzzle may be the greatest metaphor for media bias ever. Think about this. When Trump says something, what do you hear? A joke. But the media, they hear racism. And when you hear Trump describe MS-13 as animals, what did the media hear?
The President of the United States saying these are not people, they are animals. It is a disgusting way to talk about human beings.
He does things like call immigrants animals.
He was just talking about MS-13. Good enough?
No, not good enough. It is a very slippery slope when you start dehumanizing people this way. It's what the Nazis did.
But she is the model of civility.
You know how to spell hypocrisy? Or should I spell it out for you? Back off, you creep. I'll use the line.
Please don't do this. It really annoys me. I'm so through with your mansplaining, and you're smirking and you're laughing. I'm not in the mood for this today.
Make a point.
Oh, happy day. I've made my point.
So the media gets it wrong, but why should they care? Trump is mean and evil. He's like Dr. Jekyll in Mr. Hyde, minus the Dr. Jekyll. Essentially, he's just Mr. Hyde. But this is what happens when you're so consumed by Trump hate that you can't think straight. Recently, the Daily Caller asked people, who would you rather date, a felon or a Trump supporter? A majority said felon. Now, they're lying. But the great thing about surveys, you can do that. If they really meant it, they'd head to a local prison, go straight to death row, and snuggle a serial killer. You'll die, but you showed Trump. But the media is worse. Here's a tweet from John Harwood. Quote, however repugnant their actions, MS-13 gang members, they're human beings, in my humble opinion. No, he's right. MS-13, they are humans. But John, so was Hitler. So was Charles Manson. Jeffrey Dahmer. Carrot Top. So when your fact applies to everyone, it's no longer meaningful. Oh, yes, he killed your family, but both of you enjoyed Star Wars. That doesn't work. Nancy disagrees.
When the President of the United States says about undocumented immigrants, these aren't people, these are animals, you have to wonder, does he not believe in the spark of divinity, the dignity and worth of every person?
No, hold on. I think I just realized the MS in MS-13 stands for misunderstood. Keep talking. I want her to keep talking, because if this is the direction the Democrats want to go, just re-elect Trump now, you're becoming the cartoon we always thought you were. But at least the media is coming to grips with their own delusions.
I do think that we have to acknowledge that there is so much more happening in the world than Donald Trump. And we in the media are essentially all Trump all the time. Let me express my own addiction as well. You know, my wife and I, we find ourselves, our pillow talk is sometimes about Trump.
I am a Trump addict. I think I'm willing to admit that. I think all roads lead to Trump right now.
So yes, he's addicted to Trump, but the first step to recovery is admitting you have a problem. And now there's a place to kick the habit.
You've heard about it in the media.
We have to acknowledge that there is so much more happening in the world than Donald Trump.
But the first step to healing is admitting it.
I am a Trump addict.
Before it's too late.
My wife and I, we find ourselves, our pillow talk is sometimes about Trump. But
terrible.
That's right. It is terrible. But now there's hope thanks to the Brian Stelter Institute for the Trump Addicted. We understand the need for a safe space to talk about your unhealthy obsession with the president.
I stay up all night waiting to see what Trump's going to tweet next. I haven't slept in 483 days.
I see. Mr. Gennaro, what about you?
You know, I watch these Trump rallies on TV. It just seems like the more fun they have, the angrier I get, you know. I just get upset.
Well, the good news is, this is not a real medical condition, so grow a pair and get on with your lives. Feel better now?
A little bit. I do. I do.
The Brian Stelter Institute for the Trump Addicted, so you can stop whining forever.
And so like every other week, the media chases words and overlooks deeds. But I get it. It's frustrating. They've been obsessing over Russian collusion, and it seems to be shrinking away. You know what the collusion story really is for the media? It's like the press bought a roast chicken on a Sunday, and by Tuesday, they're down to nothing but bones and gristle. True, the roast chicken of collusion is bare. If only the media had a roast chicken collusion regenerator.
Hey, Tom, you're on in 5 minutes.
I know. But my Russia collusion chicken, look, it's almost gone. How am I going to talk about Russia without my delicious rotisserie chicken of Russian collusion?
You mean you don't know about the roast chicken collusion regenerator?
No, tell me more.
It's right over there.
How's it work?
The roast chicken collusion regenerator uses hysteria convection technology to regrow your collusion chicken, ensuring there's always fresh meat to the story. It even comes in a compact desk unit for companies that rely on Russian collusion chicken for their day-to-day business.
Here we go, 30 seconds.
Whoa, that is some fresh collusion chicken.
Well, you know what they say. Give a man a roast chicken, he'll collude for a day. Give him a collusion chicken regenerator, he'll collude for a lifetime.
We'll be able to pick at this forever. Thanks, Collusion Chicken Regenerator.
Order now and we'll throw in a free Stormy Daniels spatula. No matter what the news cooks up, you can always flip it to Stormy.
I'm pretty sure I wasn't high when I came up with that. Let's welcome tonight's guest. He's got more tails than a petting zoo. Author of Up in the Air and columnist at Harper's Magazine, Walter Kern. If you are feeling blue, seek out Dr. Drew, host of the radio show Dr. Drew Midday Live, Dr. Drew Pinsky. Her favorite children's book is The Omen. National Review reporter Kat Timpf. And his favorite snack is the actual Milky Way. Former WWE superstar, my massive sidekick, Tyrus. All right. Walter, you've been traveling the country. I haven't seen you for months. You're not even watching any news.
Yeah.
I'm sure you don't even know what I'm talking about, the Laurel, whatever. What do you take about the gulf between the media and the public you've just seen?
Okay. In late February, I left on an 8-week road trip across the South and Southwest. I determined that I would watch no news, not go on the internet, and not listen to the radio. The last words I heard before leaving were Stormy Daniels and Robert Mueller.
Yeah.
8 weeks away, I turned back on the radio. The first words I heard were Robert Mueller and Stormy Daniels. I call myself Trump Van Winkle. Apparently, except for aging slightly, America is doing exactly the same thing every day, which is obsessing about non-stories while North Korea denuclearizes, the Iran deal gets ripped up. There's not just some news out there. There's like the biggest news of our lifetime.
Yes. Don't go away anymore. Dr. Drew, okay, let's get to that. This Laurel Yanny thing explains everything in life, and that scares me. And I think you might agree with me.
I do agree with you. You're a Scott Adams acolyte who pointed that out, that it's a tear in the universe. It points this thing out that we can both all hear the same thing. We can listen to the same thing and hear two completely different things. The MS-13 discussion was a perfect example of that. And people get heated about it. It's so weird to me. They really but you saw those twins. I mean, they were getting upset about it. But I'm telling you what, the metaphor that I like even better that you pointed out a minute ago was Trump addiction.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to get into that, but the media needs to go cold Trump.
Yeah.
So there's really no other way. There's no other way to deal with it.
You are the expert.
I'm telling you. Plus, the obsession, their lives falling apart, there's progression. They tried the same thing over and over again, right?
But Dr. Drew, here's the thing about addiction. If you go cold turkey without giving your life over to a higher power, you're just going to be angry, frustrated, and resentful.
No, they're going to be a dry Trump.
Yeah.
And so and so the dry Trump may be worse than the using Trump. You're absolutely right. No, that's exactly
dry Trump.
Yeah.
I'm amazed that this is the first time those words have ever been uttered
together.
Yes, a higher power. I don't know who that. It could be Liz Warren. Kat, what do you make of the media, this whole kerfuffle, if you will, over animals?
Well, it's so interesting because so many in media wake up every morning trying to think of what negative story can I put out there about Trump. And this week, the best they could do was that he thinks that gang members are not good people. I always thought that if somebody rapes a bunch of people and rips their limbs off and murders them, that it's not a big deal if you don't like that person.
Yes.
I really always thought that wasn't controversial, but apparently it is.
No. You're being judgmental.
I guess.
How dare you call rapists and murderers animals? All right, Tyrus, bring it home.
Well, first of all, I got to see him on his trip.
Yeah.
And he looked like he had been in some trouble. Like he was weird. He's scared. It was like 12 o'clock at night, and he came to my house, and I was like, "Whoa, Walter, are you a murderer?" Like he looked weird. But he didn't watch the news or anything. We watched Jaws, and he talked during the whole movie. But this is what is so great about him. I didn't mind it. Like, 'cause he was explaining to me how different. He's like, in this part, he's chasing this Moby Dick, and this. And I was like, yeah, okay, I get why he basically narrated Jaws to me. It was phenomenal. So, and when he left, I said he looked like a filthy animal. So,
Tyrus, I just noticed your tattoos.
Just now?
Yeah. And I was
the next
watching
segment,
an
he's gonna notice I'm black, and then he's gonna everything else. He's gonna call on me. I just think that we live in a world today, it's sad, or maybe good. I don't know. If I was MS-13, I'm apparently a better person than the president. I guess that's I guess that's cool in certain.
According to
it used to be frowned upon.
Yes.
If I wrote on my job application MS-13, I'm not going to get the job, and probably some men in a uniform are going to show up. Now it's presidential treatment.
Now they're going to talk about your spark of humanity.
And maybe give me a hug. Yeah, let's all go out and hug MS-13 members. Let's all get together and hug. See how that works out.
Yeah. All right, I am the spark plug of humanity. Coming up, another shooting at another school. We analyze the debate over guns. That's next. So another deadly school shooting, this time Santa Fe, Texas, Friday. So let's assess how we assess this. To me, I hate to say it, it's Laurel versus Yanny yet again. The Yanny, we have too many guns and need to ban some, if not all. The Laurel, you will never get rid of guns, but since good guys with guns protect us from bad guys with guns, we need more armed security. So it's too many guns versus not enough. We can keep going on this merry-go-round forever, or admit that we're going nowhere. So why not choose another way? Maybe a compromise. You want sensible gun control without infringing on your rights? How about a system that tags psychos who are considered high risk by authorities and teachers? That's gun control that doesn't affect all of us, just the nuts like this recent scumball. And meanwhile, schools should start hiring way more trained armed personnel. One variable that reduces injury is time, meaning the duration between the first gun being fired and the arrival of a second gun. The more you reduce the duration, the more you reduce casualties. So that's a compromise. As for the media, be aware that your blanket coverage of a symbolic gesture meant for infamy doesn't help. It only creates more incentive to unleash such ghastly gestures. This latest shooter picked up tips from those past. Where did he learn them from? Us.
Period.
All right. So, Dr. Drew, you deal with a lot of pathology, a lot of psychology. What kind of problem is this in your mind?
Well, I mean, these are different things, and each one it's a different problem. But I spoke to a kid, a young adult today, who was almost one of these shooters, and he said he'd been physically abused, emotionally abused by his mom. His dad abandoned him. Then he got bullied. He said he felt like that was the recipe for some of these kids. And we have really come through a period in this country where adverse childhood experiences were exceedingly common. You add bullying to that, you add certain kinds of Asperger's or certain other mental illnesses, and then you add access to guns. Now, I don't know if you heard the press conference today, but the governor, the lieutenant governor, and Ted Cruz sounded like you. They said they were saying some of the things you were saying just now. So
they listen to me.
They do, and I feel like there's a sort of a threshold event. The fact that this was in Texas, and the fact the gun tote in Texas, and the fact that the leaders spoke with such clarity about, hey, we got to do something about access. We got to get better security. There were 2 armed guards in that school.
Yeah,
they had armed guards.
But here's the problem with these schools in places like Texas and elsewhere. They are huge. It's not like New York or Philadelphia where there's one entrance and one exit. When you have all that land, Walter, it's hard. How's the security at your son's school?
The security at my son's school doesn't exist.
Yeah.
The security at Fox News is much better.
Obviously.
Now, not to hurt anybody on the panel here, but I'm less concerned about you and Tyrus taking care of yourselves than I am about 100 or 500 teenagers at a school. Why don't we have check-in, checkpoint security of the kind that Manhattan office buildings have at schools?
I agree.
We didn't used to have it at airports.
I mean, our audience, I frisk personally. Tyrus.
And you enjoyed it, too.
Okay, I know that you and I had a talk about frisking already.
That's true. I know. All right, we shouldn't be joking. Anyway.
But you're going to have this in the schools. You're going to have it.
It's
sad, but it's coming.
It's coming.
To Walter's point, and we have to be preemptive. We have to get ahead of this thing. And unfortunately, this is about the 4th time on the show we've had to talk about this.
Right.
And it's the same thing. We need fences. We need dogs. We don't just need 2 armed guards in a 16 football sized school. We need teams. Just like we talked about when I talked about when 9/11, our airport got hit, we changed the way you can't go to the airport the same since then. You can't go to school the same way today. It needs to be preemptive. First responders did the best they could. They're amazing, but something has to happen for them to respond. That first shot is fired before they can save the day.
Yeah.
We can easily, we did it with our airports, we do it with our concerts, we do it with our schools. Let's put a bill together. It's a national security issue, in my opinion, protecting our kids. We can put it together. We're putting a wall on our borders. We're putting walls around our schools. Let's get money together and let's get this done.
It's not hardening soft targets. That's what it is. Let me get Kat in here. What this comes down to is actually more laws, more security. I would question whether a libertarian is okay with that.
Well, you have to be careful in terms of looking at how effective it would actually be. A lot of what goes on in airports is just security theater. It doesn't actually make us safer. It just kind of moves the checkpoint outside the airport or moves the danger zone outside the airport. So you have to be careful. But the way that this been discussed is really kind of disgusting to me, because if you look at this incident, there's really no constitutional gun control law that could have prevented this. There just isn't one. And still the left is blaming it on the right and blaming it on the NRA, even though it knows that there's no law that's constitutional that could have solved this. And so they're just doing that to further demonize the right for no good reason, and shame on them for doing so.
Very good. do think there's a lot of variables, and this is a complex problem that people try to simplify within the the idea of the prison of two ideas: more guns or less guns.
Yanni.
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
It is.
But I look at it like a contagion that's spread now. We have to contain it. That's it.
And the way to contain it, though, the media has to stop talking about the guys. They do deep dives on these shooters immediately. And if you're a kid who wants to go out in a blaze of glory, and you see it is glory, it's infamy because we cover it. It's martyrdom. They're going to remember me if I take out a bunch of people, and they look at past events. It drives me crazy watching coverage of this. Like, don't show them, don't talk about them, treat it like a natural disaster. Try to fix it, but eliminate that person.
But Greg, I'm being serious here. You know what they have in common besides often psychiatric illness, histories of abuse, and access to guns? Facebook. They all have Facebook pages. And social media has driven a hunger for notoriety at any cost. And these companies had better start examining they take all these surveys and they keep all this data about all of us, except apparently potential school shooters.
Exactly, and there was stuff there. There's always stuff there. All right. Coming up, politics. Who do the Democrats have to run against Trump in 2020? That's not a tease. I'm really asking. I see no one.
Marianne Rafferty, the family of the suspect in the deadly high school shooting in Santa Fe, Texas, is speaking out, saying in a statement that, quote, "We are as shocked and confused as anyone else by these events that occurred." They also offered prayers and condolences to the victims. 10 people were killed and 13 injured in that shooting rampage. Meanwhile, the mother of 16-year-old Shayna Fisher, one of those students killed, says the alleged gunman deliberately targeted her daughter because she repeatedly rejected his romantic advances. And also in Texas, officials say a gas leak caused an explosion and flash fire at a chemical plant near Houston. Nearly 24 workers were injured, but all are expected to recover. Officials with the plant are blaming the incident on a valve malfunction that allowed gas to escape. I'm Marianne Rafferty. Now back to the Greg Gutfeld Show.
Will the Dems be plenty in 2020? This week, potential Democratic presidential candidates road-tested ideas at a conference in Washington. Liz Warren, Bernie Sanders, Cory Booker, Kirsten Gillibrand, they're all there. And, of course, this little fella, too.
Okay, watch out. This one.
Okay, I didn't. Do not laugh. He totally gets monetary policy. But as the Washington Post, Dana Milbank pointed out, there's no single candidate who has what's needed to defeat Trump. Welcome aboard, pal. We've known that for months. It's bad. All right. I actually contacted a friend of mine, a major higher up in the Democratic Party, and I asked for their potential presidential and vice presidential running mate, the pairings. And so he sent me actual bumper stickers that they were preparing for 2020. So it's the presidential nominee and his running mate. And so the first one here, he said, this is the first, the Liz Warren is going to be running, but the bumper sticker will have Liz Warren and the Cars for Kids band. It's the actual running mate. That's the actual running mate. But then it could be that the Cars for Kids are actually going to be running on the front ticket, but their running mate is a delightful butterfly. Bernie Sanders will be running. They're pretty sure he is. His running mate will be the flu. However, you never know. The flu might declare to run on its own, but with a running mate, Al Gore. They're so good. Joe Biden's running, I'm pretty sure. They haven't figured out his running mate, but I heard it could be a half-full bottle of Robitussin found under a car seat. So it's really hot and sticky. By the way, remember Tim Kaine? Yeah, he may be running. His running mate will be Tile Grout. However, there's been a contention between the two. Tile Grout might be running. Tim Kaine might be his running mate. Now, last but not least, my favorite one, some guy I just met on the bus. And his running mate is his buddy Carl. He was all hands. Cats. What are they going to do? Any options?
I think that they're screwed. Just look at what they've aligned themselves with in the past week. They've defended MS-13. They've defended Hamas.
Yeah.
They don't have a message that everyday Americans is something that resonates with everyday Americans. All that they do is they're obsessed with hitting Trump, hating on everything he does, and even if he doesn't do anything wrong, like for example says that violent, evil gang members are violent and evil, they're still going to focus on that rather than coming up with a message, which is what they so desperately, desperately need.
You're right, Tyrus. What is that message?
Much to do about nothing. That should be your. Yeah, he's smart.
Yeah, there you go. You read the Cliff Notes.
Lights are so damn bright. You know, it's Obama kind of had the same situation when he and Trump and him. They keep becoming more similar in terms of dealing with the parties. No one was going to knock Obama off.
Yeah.
And no one's going to knock Trump off. He's just the change that the country wanted. So, and all his opponents, they run on, I don't like Trump. That's not good enough.
That's what
I mean, they didn't learn from when they were, I don't like Obama. Okay, what else you got? I really don't like him. That's not a run, you know, like Trump. I don't like him. It's just not enough.
They're going to run Hillary again. Come on.
It doesn't matter.
They've got no new ideas,
no,
and that's going to be her slogan. No new ideas. Hillary for president.
Much to do about nothing. I'm telling you, it's going to be great.
You think she'd be a good choice?
You know, she's better than Kyle Grout.
Are you sure? Have you seen his?
In a one-to-one matchup, I'm not sure who'd win. But with Kyle Grout on her side, she's at least got a little charisma.
I'm back to their underlying illness.
Yeah, what?
The Trump addiction. They just got to get sober first. They've got to learn the Trump Serenity Prayer.
Yeah, there needs to be. Oh, that's for next week. All right, Purdue, we need to come up with a Trump Serenity Prayer for next week. You know what the funny thing is? The only way the Dems can win is if the country is in peril. So as long as things roll merrily along, like you know, the economy and whatnot, they're going to be roadkill on the highway of life. So what they need is an alien invasion from some planet far away, an asteroid, pestilence. The problem is, with Dr. Drew, they think the pestilence is Trump.
Yes, that's the problem.
So they're in this delusion, which isn't real, but if they got out of the delusion, they could try to figure out
And
something.
they'd hear Laurel.
Yeah, they hear Laurel.
They hear Laurel after all.
But not just that. This has never been a better time for independents and the Green Party. Like all those are going to be pulled from the Democrat. Everyone's going to be trying to pull away from the Democratic Party. So they're going to have the same problem they had last time, where Bernie was the better candidate, but the Democrats weren't sure, so they pushed things to go Hillary because it was her turn because she was entitled.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're going to have the same infrastructure issues they had before. Nothing's going to change. So you know, much to do about nothing. I'm telling you.
All right, we got to go to the next block. It's the most anticipated summit since the royal wedding. Look at them. They're a lovely couple, actually. North Korea and U.S., us, America, and Singapore. Will it be canceled? We discuss. Are the prospects dim for our meeting with Kim? Less than a month before a historic meeting between North Korea and the U.S., Kim Jong-un is threatening to take his ball and go home, which means someone read The Art of the Deal. Because Kim knows when to walk away from the table. Thank God he didn't read 50 Shades. Anyway, now some say it's because Kim hates Bolton. He actually called Bolton repugnant. We went to Bolton for a response. Oh, man. But Kim's stunt, it's negotiation. You think Trump didn't expect this? Why do you think he's been playing it so cool?
It's taken a long time, many, many decades to get here. Let's see what happens.
What happens? Who knows?
we have a chance at something really great for the world and great for North Korea.
We will see what happens. We haven't seen anything. We haven't heard anything. We will see what happens.
We will see what happens. Not that the media heard any of that. They think Trump's getting played, which is dumb because negotiating is what he does. He makes deals. He breaks deals. Deals are literally his art. So yes, let's see what happens. My art, on the other hand, is a little different. I pick a hobby that no one else does, so I'm the best at it. Dr. Drew, the missing ingredient here, obviously, is Dennis Rodman. You've interviewed him. You've spent a lot of time with him.
I know Dennis.
Is he busy? And if he is, can they get Gary Busey?
Both are available, but I talked to Dennis. I said, Dennis, did you ever imagine a world where people would associate you with world peace?
Yeah.
And he's laughed about it. He sees the humor in it, but he said, look, I've always just said that the Korean people are good, and they're probably going to be very happy with this deal. That's all he said.
What do you think, Tyrus? Is this going to happen? Isn't there already progress? This guy, 6 months ago, okay, he's threatening to cancel a meeting, and 6 months ago, he's threatening to nuke us. That's progress.
Yes, progress. You asked him about Dennis Rodman for me. I guess that's progress.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Are we okay? Are we good?
Oh, we're fine. What was your question, Michael Scott? Go ahead.
Michael Scott?
Oh, you've never seen the resemblance, really?
What? All right. Yeah, what do you think?
I think that what has taken me aback has been how excited the media is that this might fail.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I have never. It wasn't like Kim got up on the microphone himself and said, "No, we're not doing deal. It's over."
Yeah.
His generals or it was like his foreign minister policies. They made a comment because they were upset over military action, and that was it. They were so excited. He finally failed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where we're at.
Yeah.
And he will. Trump will get up from the table eventually too. Wait till they react to that.
That's what you do.
It's going to happen.
But I'm saying that's the world we live at. You would rather have failed world peace attempt than a successful President Trump. That's where we're at.
I am convinced that the media, people in the media, because they live in New York, have never bought a car before. Much less like an apartment, because how many times during a closing of an apartment does things almost always fall apart? I had a woman who walked out of a closing because I wouldn't replace the kitchen door handles. I haven't.
Wait. What were the door handles, Greg?
Well, they were made of human flesh.
I got to get in here. First of all, what people have never seen is professional wrestling.
Watch it.
Don't you know when there's
I don't know nothing about
Well, let me tell you, Tyrus. When there's a big title match coming up, you get the two sides to trash talk each other so as to increase interest in the match.
I'm interested.
All right, Kat, wrap this up for us. What's your prediction? How do you feel?
Well, I'm not really surprised by this very much, seeing that Kim Jong-un is an evil dictator who starves his people and puts them in camps. Maybe canceling some plans doesn't really exactly seem below him.
Yes,
on the bad person scale.
Yeah.
But again, we don't know if it's going to happen or not yet, and I completely agree with Tyrus that it's been disgusting to see people excited that it's not going to happen.
Right.
Because I don't care how I feel about a person. The person that I hate the most in the world, if their success means I'm not going to get blown up, then I'm going to say go for it.
Exactly.
I hope you win.
All right. Great show so far. All right, still to come. A quarter of Americans spend all day inside. The other 3/4, I use them to knock squirrels off my bird feeder.
We only have an hour with our viewers every evening. We want to make it count for them. We want them to know that they can trust us. So we do our homework. We try to cut through the noise. We try to cut through the hysteria. We're not here to jump on a bandwagon. We're here to drill down on the facts. We know that we live in complicated times. We want to peel that back, and we want to give everybody a sense that when they come to us, we will give it to them straight.
Are we pasty bores who stay indoors? According to a new report, a quarter of Americans spend nearly all day inside. A survey of 16,000 people across 14 countries found that for Americans, 25% spend 21 to 24 hours inside. That's me. 20% spend 19 to 20 hours inside. 21% spend 15 to 18 hours inside. The remaining 30% said, I love Greg Gutfeld. Thank you. Finally. Researchers found a big disparity between how much time we think we spend outside versus how much we actually do. Now, I never go outside, unless, of course, it's to do this. That's how I get to work. All right, Walter, you spent a lot of time indoors. No, actually, you are an outdoorsman, aren't you?
See these two tans?
Yes.
It depends on what your outside is.
Right.
When your outside is beautiful, sunny California, you spend time outside.
Yeah.
When your outside is Cleveland, you spend time inside. Now, the problem is they won't get skin cancer.
You're right, that's true.
They might grow mold.
I would take the mold over skin cancer. Dr. Drew, I see this as evolution. Indoors is a better version than outdoors because we humans made it. Mother Nature, that is wildfires and wasps.
I'm learning so much about you, Greg, when I hear you say that.
We have been victorious over our surroundings. That's why we stay inside. Who needs the outside?
I mean, you live here in New York City where no one does venture outside, and God forbid
why would
should
we?
you. Right. But in Southern California, we're outside all the time. I think
together.
Well, we do what's called frolicking a little bit. We occasionally
I've
frolic
seen you
outside.
on Venice Beach.
But I think the implication is this, that we're involved with our computers and with our phones and things all the time, and that's largely an indoor activity. And I think that's the implication here, that we're now living our lives out in the virtual world rather than out in the world.
And they're bringing the indoor outdoor, so even when they're outside, they're still on their phone, cat.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just describing you.
Yeah. I see absolutely no reason to go outside. Well, I don't have a dog. I don't have a Frisbee. What else is there to do? I'm serious. Inside, there's TV.
Yeah.
There's very nice indoor cats.
Yes.
There's the computer, which is really interesting and fun. Outside, I feel like it's always raining.
Yes.
Or it's sunshiny and people are smiling and happy and frolicking about, and that's even worse.
I know. They project their happy privilege to your face.
Yeah, it's like, wow.
All right, Tyrus, do you encourage your kids to go outside?
Oh, they know to go outside. Get your ass up out this house. Like, I grew up being outdoors. I never wanted to go home. It was, well, Mom was kind of there, but I preferred to be outside. And even as an adult, I love being outside now because it's not crowded.
Yeah.
I've never gone, I go outside, I've never gone fishing like, damn, there's just so many people here. This is great. The park, swings always open.
Yes.
Like, because people are, like you said, on your phone stuff, but I'm always outside, and my kids just know, go outside, because I was threatened to go outside. We had rules when we had to stay out until the streetlights came on. Or the friend left.
The friend.
Yeah.
The special friend.
A special friend, but yeah.
I go back to the fact that this is a success. You know, we're the only animal that, but there's some critters that build dams and dig holes, but they're still losers. I'm talking about beavers and rabbits. They're not humans. We actually continue to evolve and create more complex technologies. You know, we started with the wheel, and now we have like more wheels. We do electrical work. Dogs and cats don't. So this is what we get. This is our reward. No?
To be stuck inside by yourself.
Exactly.
What is better than that?
Looking at the same, I'm sorry, but really?
Isolation.
But really? You guys also been watching this from home on your monitors, right? Instead of going outside.
But the question is, are we changing our environment of evolutionary adaptiveness? Are we going to change as we create the environment?
That's the big question. Do we get softer? Does our hand turn into a hand like a cup holder? Because all we do, like, what if our hands evolve so we're like this?
You know what aliens look like? Those slim gray creatures with no noses?
That's how that happened.
That's how it happens.
Yes.
All right. I want to make make sure that we mean space aliens?
Space aliens.
All right.
Not MS-13.
Yeah, because because Nancy will say, I can't believe he
Mark of divinity.
Yes.
Little gods.
Yes. All right. Hey, by the way, my book's going on sale soon, so you got to go to Amazon and order this right away. It's all of my monologues. All of my monologues are in this one little book, and then I comment on them because some of them, well, they sucked. So go buy my book. Don't go anywhere. Final thoughts next. So, final thoughts, Walter?
Read Harper's Magazine. Somebody has to, and I write for it.
Yes.